Welcome, I'm Nina Gryphon, and this is the Astrology and Magic channel. Today we'll talk about the astrology of the first week of November 2025, which covers November 1st through the 7th. First off, I'd like to say thanks to all of my patrons. I appreciate all of your support. If you'd like to become a patron and get these forecasts earlier than the general public, you can go to patreon.com/Nina Gryphon. At the highest tier, the Magus tier, you can get access to my monthly Magical Elections ebook, which teaches you how and when to make astrological talismans. November 2nd, Venus at 25 Libra squares Jupiter in Cancer. This is an exceptionally lovely combination, both benefics and strong dignity, in a square aspect, with Venus herself conjoining the benefic star Spica, which represents the spike of wheat held by the celestial Virgin and represents abundance and protection. Jupiter is the exalted guru who gives guidance and illuminated wisdom, while Venus adds beauty and grace. Venus is received by Jupiter into his triplicity and face or decan, which softens this square into something gentler, more akin to a sextile, offering opportunities for fertility, union, and growth. November 3rd, Mars at 29 Scorpio trines Neptune in Pisces. This combination will have more subterranean effects than those that emerge into the light of day. Both planets are in water signs, so communication will be happening in the nonverbal space, a trend that began with a grand trine in water signs last month. This aspect is more about moving large amounts of energy, sort of like using the power of waves as an energy source, even more than about communication. This is about using the might of the tides to push one to one's goals, rather than trying to do so ourselves. Now let the mighty ocean send you where you need to go, far more powerfully than you could even do under your own power. November 4th, Mars enters Sagittarius. Mars in Sagittarius is intense and potentially violent, as he is in a fire sign, and the only sign that features both a mode of transportation, the horse, and a weapon, the bow and arrow, the sagitta. Sagittarius is ruled by Jupiter in his guise as the Lord of the Thunderbolt, which in Sanskrit is called the Vajra. This is the shocking, sudden, and violent manifestation of Jupiter's divine power. If you are a user of the I Ching, you can read the text of hexagram 51, Shock, represented by the double thunder, as a good description of Jupiter and this side of Sagittarius, which brings illumination like lightning bolts on a dark night illuminating the entire night sky, but to do so with the terrifying fire power coming down from the heavens. Yes, Jupiter is wisdom and enlightenment, but it doesn't necessarily come gently or compassionately. Often, enlightenment comes just like a lightning bolt from the sky, scorching trees and setting the forest on fire. Obviously, Mars in Sagittarius will emphasize the highly active side of enlightenment, which does not care about our feelings. All it cares about is adding more illumination, blowing a hole in the sealed container of limited awareness. To quote Leonard Cohen, there is a crack in everything, that's how the light gets in. November 4th, Mars at 0 Sagittarius opposes Uranus in Gemini. This is obviously a disruptive and violent combination, one that does not favor rational or harmonious communication. This is probably a good day to avoid negotiations or any conversations requiring delicacy, tact, or compassion. It could be an indication of violence as well. November 5th, we have our full moon at 13 Taurus. This full moon is ruled by Venus, like the preceding new moon in Libra. The themes of desire, union, and peace will dominate the next 2 weeks. At this time, Venus is in Libra, her own sign, and still in orb of her square to Jupiter, adding that lovely combination of peace and higher wisdom to the next couple of weeks. Something tender and miraculous is possible in this period, both beautiful and seemingly divinely inspired and protected. This chart also features Mars conjoining Mercury in Sagittarius, and both oppose Uranus, indicating erratic and explosive communications, but those are tangential to the Venusian themes of the full moon itself, which will be primary. This full moon will be about balancing divine love and wisdom on the one hand, and impulsivity and dysregulation on the other hand. November 6th, Venus enters Scorpio. This is the sign of her detriment, as it's a sign ruled by Mars. Paradoxically, Venus in the signs of Mars, her mythological lover and father of several of her children, is often highly motivated to unite with others, even more than Venus in her own signs. It's as though Venus in the signs of Mars gains fuel and energy to drive her desire nature and make it more active. Remember that in Vedic astrology, Venus is one of the planets, those that are driven to action by their desires. It's a different way of thinking of Venus, whom we may see as essentially passive and leisurely, but desire is surely Venus's essential nature. In the signs of Mars, Venus's essentially Rajasic nature comes to the foreground, and she unabashedly goes after what she wants, which is the fulfillment of desires. In Scorpio, this happens in a nonverbal, subtle way, perhaps in the symbolic, dream, or archetypal realm, completely outside of the world of words. In the second half of November, Venus will travel with Mercury retrograde in Scorpio, the two of them creating a literal hermaphrodite, a single being that shares characteristics of both Hermes and Aphrodite, which is nonverbal and exists solely in the symbolic space, yet is highly energetic in its pursuit of desires. November 7th, Uranus returns to Taurus. This is Uranus's last visit to Taurus after 7+ years in the sign of the Bull. Uranus will be in Taurus until April 2026, maintaining the sextile to Neptune and Saturn in Pisces for a while, before Uranus turns direct and moves into Gemini for good. This is an opportunity to finally integrate all the Taurian pragmatic learning we've had these past 7 years, and to put a bow on that package before putting it away. November 7th, Venus at 1 Scorpio squares Pluto. Venus square Pluto always brings to mind the abduction of Persephone, especially when she is in a sign of Mars and in a hard aspect to Pluto. Themes of abduction, intense sexuality, or even sexual violence may all arise now, prompting many to reenact various aspects of the Persephone and Hades myth, the captivity of youth and life, combined with a mysterious life force that makes its existence known even from the darkest underworld, and that ultimately cannot be repressed or denied or even delayed. The return to life that Venus represents comes as reliably as spring follows winter, and Pluto can only temporarily veil it, but never kill it. Thanks for watching. I'm Nina Gryphon, and this is the Astrology and Magic channel.